The first National Economic Forum came to an end a few hours ago with the release of the Senchi Consensus, a 22-point communique detailing some obligations expected of government. Among the highlights is a call on government to review the targets set out in the 2014 budget. The founder and president of Ashesi University, Patrick Ewua, read the communique on behalf of the 140 participants at a three-day forum.
That the directive principles of state policy, Chapter 6 of the 1992 Constitution, must continue to guide the national development effort and anchored in a long-term national development framework with a compelling vision. That the long-term interests of the nation should supersede all other interests. That the state encourages and promotes indigenous entrepreneurship and continues to execute projects and programs commenced by the previous government. Foster a state whose day-to-day management is supported by a professionally competent civil service, working in an environment devoid of political victimization and intimidation, and where support for the government is not interpreted as political affiliation. It is imperative to strengthen the public accounts and finance committees of Parliament to play their oversight responsibilities more effectively, and also to develop a mechanism for effective synergy and coordination between the monitoring units of ministries, departments and agencies, the National Development Planning Commission, and the Office of the President. 6. That a mechanism to effectively monitor, evaluate, and reform the use of statutory funds transferred to the public sector institutions such as the District Assembly Common Fund, National Health Insurance Authority, Ghana Education Trust must be established. 8. The Ministry of Finance should, as a matter of urgency, review the targets set in the 2014 budget. The review must identify likely deviations and make proposals for plugging the resulting financing gap, while the Bank of Ghana traces the implications of the revisions for monetary policy. 9. That a mechanism must be established to realign the budget whenever the economy is affected by unanticipated shocks. 10. Government must strengthen the regulatory authorities to protect consumers and ensure the enforcement of standards. 11. Further steps must be taken to support small-medium enterprises in order to protect jobs. 13. Bank of Ghana should expedite work on assessment of the recently announced foreign exchange measures and take speedy and appropriate action to restore confidence and relieve the unintended consequences of the measures. 14. Consideration should be given to the amendment of the Bank of Ghana Act to set a ceiling on its lending to government that is based on government's revenue collection in the previous year rather than the current year as is currently the case. This should be separated from the ceiling on total net domestic borrowing by government. 15. An investment program to deal with the energy crisis must be put in place as a matter of urgency in order to propel growth, employment, competitiveness, and macroeconomic stability. 16.
Right, so there are 22 points in all. You just said it's about 15 of them, but it goes on. 16 says the government must take steps to revamp their manufacturing and agriculture sectors to encourage domestic production of some agricultural products as well as import substitutable manufactured goods. And 17, Ghana needs accelerated implementation of the current plan to develop the interbank foreign exchange and money markets to ensure activity primary and secondary trading. And number 20, I'll just jump to 22, says government must take steps to galvanize consensus around other issues of national importance, especially with respect to political governance, nation-building matters, and should initiate a process of involving citizens whose experience, insight, and expertise will enhance economic policy management and national governance. They go on to say that a full and detailed report of the proceedings will be made available within the next few weeks. Now, President John Mahama has endorsed the outcome of the forum with an emphatic statement that his government is ready to adopt the policies contained in the consensus. He, however, indicated that government is already undertaking some of the initiatives.
Some of the issues raised we're dealing with already, and this forum inspires us to quicken our steps in achieving these goals. For example, improving efficiency of tax collection and broadening the tax base, dealing with the energy crisis to assure reliable, affordable power supply, review of Bank of Ghana measures to smooth out unintended consequences and restore confidence, careful prioritization of policies, programs, projects and activities, and many other such recommendations. There are others too, admittedly, we haven't quite gotten around to implementing yet, but which have been flagged by this forum as urgent to begin dealing with. The current consensus follows one that we reached earlier in 2013 at Ho with our comrades on our wage situation. It is important that we build on the consensus reached at Ho and now at Senchi to forge another understanding of the public sector compensation and productivity at what we are now calling an impending post-Ho forum. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, I am satisfied with the outcome of this forum, and I'm impressed at the zeal and enthusiasm you have shown over these last 3 days. I stand here making, thank you. I was surprised you were not clapping for yourselves. I stand here making these closing remarks with the knowledge that while this National Economic Forum may be ending, what lies ahead of us is the beginning of a new day for Ghana, one that we are together shaping as a nation. What lies ahead of us as a government is the careful consideration and timely implementation of all the viable solutions that you have proposed here in Senchi. There must be no delays or distraction. Our economic management team has been reinvigorated by this process and is ready to begin immediately implementing the outcomes of this gathering. I've spoken with the Vice President, His Excellency Kwesi Bekwe Misata, who has shared with me this same sense of urgency and optimism that have permeated these proceedings. We will use your sense of urgency and optimism to fuel our actions as we move in the direction of change.